I've been making book videos for 10 years now, which means I've grown a rather large physical TBR. Recently, I went through a bookshelf purge and only kept the books that I'm the most excited to read. I am convinced that my next favorite book is waiting for me somewhere on my shelves. I've set myself a challenge to read my entire physical TBR in 1 year. We are starting with 250 books, and by the end, I hope to be down to 0. Welcome back to my series where I am attempting to read every single book on my physical TBR. This being my first video of the new year, I need to admit to you guys some of my failures. This video is kind of gonna be a mess, and I'm gonna have to walk you through it a little bit. Basically, what happened is towards the end of last year, there was like a perfect storm of things happening that made me unable to film, not want to read. I found out that I was moving. I think I had like seasonal depression. I was very unhappy. I didn't want to read. I really didn't want to film anything. In the entire month of November, I read only 2 books, and one of them was a reread. So this video is kind of like I am going to be stitching together a lot of failed videos that I was in the middle of filming and then completely abandoned because I just wanted to quit and give up on everything. And you know, that's fine, it happens. And I wanted to put this episode together to show you guys not everything ends up going according to plan, and it's fine. It's fine. As someone who likes everything to be exactly the way that I want it, it's okay if it's not. It's okay if it's not. I'm trying to let go of the reins a little bit, let things be what they are. Basically, I had a few different like TBR tackle episodes, other videos going in the process. I tend to read for multiple videos at one time rather than like focusing on one single project, which again, maybe that's a problem. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't know, I'm learning things about myself. But I had a few different episodes going at the same time of different themes. I was like, what if I stopped doing all of these? But I had already read things, I'd already filmed things, read books that I want to talk about. So this is kind of going to be like a Frankenstein episode, which we'll come to in a little bit because I did read Frankenstein, where I'm going to be stitching together a bunch of different videos. And I'm going to have to walk you through it a little bit because it's very jumpy and I'm gonna have to give you context for things, but I hope you enjoy seeing whatever this video ends up being. I have done phase 1 of my move out, so I am in a new location. You guys have probably seen this before. This is the guest bedroom at my parents' house, but I have set up my bookshelf, so I'll show you guys that. I just knew through all of this moving process, I wanted to keep this physical representation of everything I've read for this series because it is very motivating for me to see like the physical stack of books that I've accomplished. So we have them here, this whole shelf here. I also organized it by the star rating that I have given. We have 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2, 1, and DNFs. Starting this video, my physical TBR is at 198. I have read a whole bunch of books in other videos, so we need to update all of these with the numbers. In my Christmas vlog, I read Kiss Her Once for Me and Gifting Me to His Best Friend. I did a 24-hour readathon where I read Gone to See the Riverman, The Memory Theater, and I DNF'd 10,000 Stitches. And then my book club book in November was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. So here's the new number for my physical TBR, and we can add these to the shelf. Kiss Her Once for Me was a 5-star. Gifting Me to His Best Friend, I didn't really rate this one. I think I'd put it at like a 3. The Familiar, I settled on a 4. So that goes in here. Gone to See the Riverman is a 1. The Memory Theater is a 4, like a very high 4. And then 10,000 Stitches was a DNF. So that goes down here. The first video concept that I guess I failed at was to read the least popular books on my TBR. I had done several months ago a video where I read the most popular books on my TBR. I read Mistborn, Thursday Murder Club. I read a bunch of books that were very, very popular, and I wanted to do the opposite, where I read the books that the least number of people on Goodreads have reviewed and rated. So I'm gonna go to my want to read shelf and sort it by number of ratings. I do think I'm gonna have to like skip through a lot of books that just haven't come out yet. Ooh, okay. This one is Sun Daughters, Sea Daughters by Amy Ogden. This one's actually a novella that is a sci-fi Little Mermaid retelling. And I remember I added this to my TBR because Sean McGuire blurbed it. And this one has 685 ratings. So it says it has all the wonder and romance of a classic sci-fi novel with the timelessness of a beloved fairy tale. That sounds really good. Ooh, okay, the next one is a book that I've really been wanting to read. It's called In the Roses of Pieria by Anna Burke. And this one is a sapphic vampire book, which y'all know that is right up my alley. It says that it is daring, queer, dark fantasy romance teeming with sensuous vampires, dark academia, plant horrors, and terrifying fungal fae. It just sounds amazing. This one has 761 ratings. Okay, the next one is Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt. This is actually a book that I've owned for quite a while, and this one says that it is supernatural meets Stranger Things in this horror action adventure series about a punk YouTuber on a mission to bring down witches, one video at a time. It sounds like fun and quirky. This one has 826 ratings. I'm actually going to let my patrons vote on which one they want me to start. So I'm gonna post a poll on my Discord. I think I'll just use like emojis so they don't know what the books are. And then I'll come back in like an hour and see what they picked. Okay, I'm back. The poll ended. Honestly, right like a minute before it was gonna end, there was a tie. So I quickly was like, please everybody vote. So a couple more votes came in, and the winner is, drumroll, In the Roses of Pieria. So I'm very excited for this one. It just sounds like it has so many things that I love. Sapphic vampires, yearning, dark academia. I have very high hopes for this. I am like 10% into The Roses of Pieria and I'm already loving it. Oh my god. It is reminding me of so many of my favorite books. Basically, this is following a scholar named Clara who specializes in like ancient Greek texts, and she's hired by this very wealthy woman who has a private collection of Greek artifacts to come and transcribe all of these like old texts that she has. As she's like going through this collection that has like never been seen by anyone else, she finds all of these old letters back and forth between these two people, and they seem like they are love letters, but they're also like adversaries. So like some of the first letters that she finds says, "If I wished to burn you, you would be ash. Is this how you begin all of your wars?" And then the person responds, "You surprise me, you always do. I did not think you would respond without further coaxing, let alone give me your name. I'm beginning to think you do not fear me at all." And so the letters are very much giving me "This is how you lose a time war" vibes, where like they're enemies, but then they're gonna like start to fall in love through these letters. And so the main character is transcribing them. And she also adds her like little translator notes as like little footnotes with like context and things like that. So already I'm really loving that aspect. But then I think there's also gonna be like a sapphic romance thing going on with her and then the assistant of the woman, like the wealthy woman whose collection this is. She actually hasn't met her employer yet. She's only met the assistant. I don't yet know how the vampires are gonna come into play, but I'm already obsessed. Like, I can't remember the last time I started a book and immediately felt like I am holding on to something that could potentially be a new favorite book. So unfortunately, In the Roses of Pieria ended up being a 3-star book, 3.5 stars. It was very promising. I think there was a lot of aspects here that I really did enjoy. Somewhere along the way though, it kind of lost me. It got very complicated, very convoluted, and I really got confused. I don't even fully know if I know what happened in this book. And I think that the parts that I loved the most were those letters. I really loved those, and there were times in this book where I was like, what if the entire book was just the letters? Like, just make it a little novella of these letters that were discovered That would have been great. I think it was just a very ambitious book. There was too much going on. Like I said, it lost me along the way. It's very upsetting because when I started this book, I felt like it could be a new favorite, and it just ended up disappointing. And I don't know when I'm gonna find a sapphic vampire book that I actually love, because all of the ones that I've read end up disappointing me. And I'm like, is it me? Am I the problem? Are my expectations too high? Maybe. Maybe, because I do think that eventually there will be a sapphic vampire book that is my all-time favorite book. It will be the perfect book for me. And so far I have not found it. I would read another book by Anna Burke. I think there was a lot of potential here. And I did actually end up buying a special edition copy. I'm gonna unhaul this one because like this cover does nothing. I don't even understand what it is, how it really relates to the book. I don't know. This cover, oh, she's stunning. Look at that. That is amazing. You even have 2 cats on the cover. How can you not want 2 cats on the cover? So I'm gonna keep this edition, get rid of that one. I liked it enough that I really just wanted this cover of it. I don't want to deter people from picking it up because it was not bad. I think it just could have been better. There was a lot of potential, and I think with some tweaking and maybe some clarity, could have been better. As for the other 2 books that I was intending to read for that video, I did read Sun Daughter, Sea Daughter, and I liked it. I was trying to figure out why I actually didn't vlog my thoughts of this, and then I remembered that while I read this book, I spilled an entire cup of coffee on my white curtains in my living room, and it was such a nightmare. It was such a nightmare. I had to not only climb on top of my couch to get my curtains off the curtain rod, which was very dangerous. I had to wash my curtains in the bathtub, and I think that that just derailed me, and I completely forgot to talk about this book because it's very short and I read it in like an hour, and then that whole thing happened. I just forgot to ever talk about it. But basically, this is a sci-fi Little Mermaid. It's not a Little Mermaid retelling. It's like a sci-fi Little Mermaid sequel. And I actually thought it was really, really interesting. Basically, in this version of this Little Mermaid sequel, I'm gonna use the Little Mermaid names. I know they have different names in here. I'm gonna use the Little Mermaid names. So Prince Eric is dying. There's like a plague that is going through the kingdom. Everyone is dying. And Ariel knows someone who could help him, who can save him. And that is her ex, who just happens to be the sea witch. Ursula, maybe? It's very, very interesting. Then we have Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt, which I did DNF. I didn't include this in my DNFs video that I posted recently because I actually DNF'd this after like 1 chapter. Ugh, here's the thing. I read 1 chapter of this and I just hated the writing. It was just very, I don't know, cringe. I just was not clicking with the writing at all. In just 1 chapter, I knew I was not gonna like the book, so I DNF'd it. My next video that I started and then abandoned was reading Frankenstein. I realized that on my TBR, I had not only the original Frankenstein, but also a few Frankenstein retellings. So my plan was to read Frankenstein for the first time, and then also read all those Frankenstein retellings. The only problem that I didn't foresee and realize is that when I finally did read Frankenstein, I didn't like it. So I read the original Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This whole year I have been trying to read more classics. I read like 4 or 5, and I think I got very optimistic about loving classics because all the ones that I read prior to this, I loved. I had actually just read The Picture of Dorian Gray, loved that so much, and I was expecting to love this. I was expecting to be obsessed. I didn't really like it, and then I felt bad because I'm like, am I gonna sit up here on my little YouTube channel and disrespect Miss Mary Shelley? Absolutely not. Absolutely not am I gonna do that. But I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. And the only thing I can say is I didn't like the writing style. It just didn't work for me. I feel so out of my depth when it comes to talking about classics that when I'm enjoying them, it feels easier to talk about it because I'm like, yeah, I loved it. Here's the reason why I loved it. And then when I don't like it, I feel like I'm wrong. I feel like I don't know how to articulate why I didn't like it. I don't know. I got very in my head about not liking this. Because I do have a lot of respect for Mary Shelley and like what she did for the genre. I don't know, I love her story, the story of her. I find her so interesting, but I just didn't like this. So I was getting very discouraged from the video at the jump, but I did read one of the books that was a Frankenstein retelling, and that was Our Hideous Progeny. I am over halfway into Our Hideous Progeny. I was planning on updating you guys sooner, but I cannot put this down. I love it. I love it so much. This really feels like if you combined Veronica Speedwell, Jurassic Park, and Frankenstein. All of those together make up this book. It takes place in the 1850s, London. We're following main character Mary, who is the great niece of Victor Frankenstein, and her whole life she's really been into science and learning. Specifically, she's really into like paleontology and archaeology, stuff like that. She finds all of these old letters talking about what her great uncle did in creating life, and she wants to recreate that. So her and her husband are setting out to recreate his experiments and bring something to life, but she also has a little pen pal relationship with her husband's sister, where they write letters back and forth to each other, and they maybe think about kissing each other. I love it. I love this so much. I actually realized recently that a lot of my favorite books are retellings of classics. A Dowry of Blood, which is a retelling of Dracula. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, which actually combines a lot of different classics, one of them including Frankenstein, Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde. Jane Steele, which is a retelling of Jane Eyre. I don't know, there's something about a classics retelling, especially if it's like gothic, Victorian vibes. I just eat it up. I love it. And I definitely think this could join those ranks. I will say, the way that I hate her husband, ugh, and there's another male character in here, I'm just waiting for their downfall. I'm praying for it. Every time they're in a scene, I'm like, can we just get back to the girls wanting to kiss each other? What are these men doing here? Her husband is like the epitome of, I'm gonna disappoint you at every single turn. Yeah, I'm going to try to finish this today. Honestly, I really cannot put it down. I'm loving it so much. I love Mary as a main character. You get like kind of flashbacks to her childhood and like throughout her life, and I just feel for her so much. I want the best for her. I want her to live her happily ever after and prove everybody that has underestimated her wrong. Yeah, this is just so great. I finished Our Hideous Progeny, and I did end up still really loving this. It was so good. It really, like I said, it combined all of those books that I really love. I think the ending was very satisfying, very satisfying. I will say my only complaint, I just wish there was more kissing. Is that too much to ask for? Just a little bit of more girls kissing? That would have made it a 5-star. Just a little more girls kissing, and it could have been a 5-star, but I really enjoyed this. I definitely would read something else from this author, and I would say if you like Veronica Speedwell, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, like those kind of vibes, I definitely would give this a try. The writing was so good, and like it really made me feel a lot of emotions where I was like actually so angry sometimes reading this. The men were trifling. The men were infuriating. And I was getting like I was like getting hot while I was reading it because I was getting so upset. But yeah, it could have been 5 stars. So we just had a little more girls kissing. I feel like that's not too much to ask for. So the other 2 books that I was initially planning on reading were A Botanical Daughter and Children on the Hill. I am still planning to read those eventually, but at this point, after reading Frankenstein and Our Hideous Progeny, I just was over Frankenstein. I didn't want to read about Frankenstein anymore. I was over it. I wanted to move on. My next failed video was that I was going to read the book on my TBR that you guys wanted me to read the most. So when I did my every book on my physical TBR video, I had you guys comment the titles that you wanted me to read. And there was one book that was commented so many times, and that was Wolfsong by TJ Klune. So my intention was to do like a whole video just reading Wolfsong, and I was like, yeah, this book is long enough. I could just do a whole vlog just on this book. That'll be perfect. That is just what the girls want, except this is how it went. I have been avoiding having to talk about this and mention this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I know I'm about to break a lot of hearts. I want to DNF this. I don't think I like it. I feel like I keep trying to convince myself that I like it because I know it's so many people's favorite book. Like when I go on Goodreads and I looked at the amount of my Goodreads friends who they're like the first line in their review is, "This is my all-time favorite book." I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know. I think my main issue right now is that I just don't like the two main characters. I don't like them. I don't like them. And one of them has been a child for a really long time. He's like a little child. And I know it's gonna end up being a romance, and I'm like, I feel like I don't have my thoughts together because I'm like embarrassed that I don't like it. Even though that's stupid to be embarrassed about. I know it's gonna upset so many people. I really wanted to love it. I don't. And I think if I just like make myself push through, I'm not gonna give it a good rating. Ugh, I keep like convincing myself that I should keep going, but I'm really not liking it. It's almost like I feel like I need someone to give me permission to DNF this one. I just need to DNF it. Please don't hold this against me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the main characters. I don't really like the way that it's written. I'm super bummed by this. I'm super bummed. We're just gonna chalk this up to it not being for me. I think when it comes to TJ Klune, I will stick to his cozy fantasy and not his romances. Yeah, so I DNF'd it. I didn't want to film any of my thoughts. I DNF'd it. I felt so bad. And then I was like, is this mean? Like if I just put out a whole video where I'm like, I'm gonna read the book that all of my subscribers love so much and want me to read so much, but I hate it. Is that mean? I didn't want to do that anymore. Suddenly I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. This was not my intention. So then I was like, what if I read a different TJ Klune book? The other TJ Klune book that I have in the Lives of Puppets. That is perfect because this one is more in line with the other TJ Klune books that I've loved. And then I DNF'd this one too. This one is a Pinocchio retelling, and the concept sounded cute, like all these little robots in this little forest. It was kind of giving me like some more silly Psalm for the Wild Built. However, there's a character in here, I'm pretty sure his name is Rambo, who is so annoying. So annoying. I couldn't do it. I could not keep going. Like in theory, a little Roomba vacuum character sounds so cute. He was so annoying. And then I didn't even really care about the story that was going on. So I was like, let's DNF that. It was also the midst of me like not wanting to read anything, hating everything that I picked up. So then I majorly took a long break from filming any vlogs, from really reading anything. And then I was like, okay, I need to be so realistic with myself and what I'm feeling and what I want to read. So let me just pick up whatever I want to read right now in this moment. And that ended up being Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. I am packing up all of my books. I have 10 boxes right now that are fully packed, and I'm gonna do more. I needed an audiobook to start while I was doing this. Something that was just like fun and light and cozy. So I decided to start the audio for Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. I'm halfway into it now and I'm loving it. It is so fun. Here, let me sit. Can I sit on my boxes? This might be dangerous. Okay, this is fine. This is following two comedians. He is like a retired comedian who is now her manager. And in order to like boost her career, someone gives her the advice to have a PR relationship with her manager. And they're like, at this point, they're like besties. Besties. They spend every day together. And literally the start of the book, they're already in love with each other. The other one just doesn't know it. And they don't know that the other one also loves him back, because both of them are like trying to be professional. So they don't want to like cross the line. They're both hopelessly in love with each other. And so someone suggests to them that they need to do this fake PR relationship. And they're both like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Let's do that. Let's totally do that. That's such a good idea. Let's do this fake relationship. I love that idea. They're just so blatantly transparent. It's so funny. Yeah, I'm loving it. I was a little nervous that like the comedy in this book would be cringy to me. And honestly, there are parts when it's like describing her doing stand-up and I'm like, Interesting. I'm overlooking that. I'm overlooking it just to have fun, and I'm enjoying it so far. The chemistry is very good. I, you know, love a little fake dating plot, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm excited because I have always wanted to read Tara DeWitt books, especially some of her newer ones, but I wanted to read this first. And it's exactly what I wanted right now, just like something fun, light, cute, while I'm packing up my whole book collection. It looks so sad behind me. Ugh, look at that. It's sad. It's sad. I wanted a little hee hee ha ha. And this is giving me that, so it's perfect. All right, I finished Funny Feelings, and I think I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I really loved it. I'm so excited to read more from Tara DeWitt. It wasn't like my favorite romance, but I do feel like it was exactly what I needed right now. It was so cute. It was really, really cute. I also like the way that it was told. It's dual POV, but also dual timeline, where following them present day while they're doing this PR relationship, but then you also are getting like flashback scenes from the day that they met, and then like progressively through the years. Honestly, just to show how completely in love with each other they've been from the beginning, and like what big idiots they are in not realizing that the other is also in love with them. I also really, really liked the ending conflict. There was something that happened that was like not great, and like not great communication, but instead of immediately jumping to, oh, I'm never gonna speak to you again, we're gonna break up, this relationship is over, they had like the mutual respect for each other to talk about it and like work through it and not just immediately run away. I find that in a lot of romances, that's like the go-to, where if there's some sort of like miscommunication or like betrayal or like whatever it is, the conflict at the end, one of the characters is like, okay, goodbye, I'm never speaking to you again, goodbye. And I'm like, this is someone that you claimed you loved. And like, unless it's cheating, something really big and deep and crazy, I feel like you owe them the respect to like talk about it. And that doesn't happen a lot. So I liked that they were like, okay, we're not breaking up. This is a bump in the road and we're just gonna work on it. And then they did, and I really appreciated that. So 4 stars, really enjoyed it. I think the next Tara DeWitt book I want to read is called Savor It. I've been told that that book is like Gilmore Girls and Schitt's Creek meets The Bear, which are all 3 shows that I love and sounds perfect. So that now brings you guys up to speed where we're at today. I fully read 5 books from my shelves and DNF'd 3, which brings the new total of my physical TBR to 184. Today is January 1st, 2025. And I think a very big goal of mine in this year is to just let myself do what I want, which I know sounds so simple. Anyone who actually like knows me knows that I already do that to a very extreme amount, but I think I need to go an even step further, because sometimes I think I fool myself into thinking I'm a different type of person. This upcoming year is going to have a lot of change for me. I'm moving across the country. Everything about my life, in my life, is changing. And so I think I need to just allow myself to do what feels natural and normal. And if ever I'm feeling overwhelmed, or like I don't want to do a video concept anymore, like I don't want to read a book anymore, I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna move on, and it's okay. And I need to be okay with allowing myself to change, and for plans to change, and things to not turn out exactly how I meticulously planned them. So I hope you guys liked this episode. It was a little bit different from all of the other ones. Hopefully after this, we're gonna get back on track with monthly TBR Tackle uploads. This kind of threw a wrench in my plans a little bit, but thank you guys for watching. If you stuck it out to the end, leave me a party hat emoji, because my birthday is actually next week. We're celebrating my birthday, we're celebrating the new year, we're celebrating the fact that I finally got this video out. And if you ever want extra content from me, you can check out my Patreon. I posted a few holiday vlogs in December, and over the upcoming weeks and months, I'm gonna be posting a lot of moving content if that is something that you like, or if you're just really nosy. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!